FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. It's Kerry Lutz, and you probably heard about the Religious Freedom Act in Indiana. The whole blowback went on with there that caused the state to modify the law. Well, got James Hirsen on. He's JD, also in Masters in Media Psychology, a New York Times best-selling author, commentator, and law professor. Want to get some analysis on it. James, welcome back to the show.
Hey, great to be with you.
Hey, so this law, I got to tell you, I've read it. I'm still not exactly sure what it does, other than I think it was to protect bakers who didn't want to produce cakes for gay weddings. Is that what the purpose was? I'm just not sure.
Well, that's the number one example that's brought up. But, you know, what the law stemmed from is the fact that activist courts and interpretations of various policies from the federal government have encroached on the religious freedom clause of the First Amendment of the Constitution. The most notable one, you remember the Supreme Court heard this Hobby Lobby case?
Right. Yeah.
It's about a business that said, hey, we shouldn't be forced to provide insurance that covers something that's morally objectionable under our religious tradition. In that case, it was abortion and pharmaceutical abortion. In the case of, there are fertility clinics that are owned by Christians. There are a whole host of businesses. And this kind of thing, I think, is a slippery slope, and I think people of faith are concerned because they're under assault, and they're concerned that their churches will even be invaded by activist judges. And so, and ironically, the act, the Religious Freedom Restoration Act, there are dozens of states that already have them, and the federal government, the Congress passed such a law in 1993 that was signed by Bill Clinton, then president. Illinois has a law like this that was passed, that was given support by a then state senator named Barack Obama. So to me, it reminds me very much of Ferguson, Missouri. It reminds me of the War on Women meme that took place prior to the last election. This is an engineered news story that has no substance whatsoever, that was created by activist groups working together with the left and getting the entire mobilization of Hollywood celebrities, of news media to focus on a non-story to create a crisis out of nothing so they could use it as a weapon in the upcoming election. That's the only interpretation I can have, because there is no crisis. There is nothing there. And I just want to point out, this thing was started by organizations that it brought up bakeries, because there was a bakery case that they brought up. And they also a reporter went and found a pizza place. You may have heard this story.
Yeah, the pizza place,
in
right.
Indiana. Asked a question. A young girl that worked there answered honestly that she wouldn't want to have her pizza place cater a wedding that ran counter to her religious beliefs. But I want you to note this. No reporter went to any bakery in Dearborn, Michigan, where there are tons of bakeries owned by religious Muslims who would say exactly the same thing, but they're hands off. The target of these groups are Christians. The target of these stories are always Christians, because they find that to be a soft target. And targeting a Muslim bakery would have ramifications that maybe the reporter wouldn't like. So it's phony, is the only thing I can say. And the people that are filling the social media with all this hateful stuff, Ashton Kutcher and Miley Cyrus and a whole bunch of others, are ignorant. They have no idea what the law is. They have no idea Bill Clinton signed the same law. They never heard of, first of all, they barely have heard of Indiana. And secondly, they don't know who Mike Pence is. But Mike Pence is significant, governor of Indiana, because he's considered someone who may run for president. And the news media is on an aggressive campaign to destroy all of the potential GOP candidates before they have a chance to even campaign.
Well, it looks like the media has been on an aggressive campaign to destroy virtually all candidates that Obama doesn't like. You don't have to look too far to see this, I'm thinking about them. Cuomo, he's been destroyed by the media, right? And you got to wonder why. There's been a lot of, and they've been after Clinton too. Supposedly, that's been a result of the Obama administration.
Well, Ed Klein,
yeah,
went on all the talk shows and said that.
Yeah,
the author.
Yeah. Fascinating what's going on with the media. And yeah, you're right.
Well, if you look at, the president's history and his political career, his pattern has been to destroy the potential opposition as thoroughly as possible. And that's sort of an Illinois tradition. But certainly, we look back now at the presidential campaign, and it's baffling to look back, because what you see is on one side, the Obama campaign characterizing their opponent, Mitt Romney, as a murderer, as someone who beat up homosexuals in high school, as someone who tied his dog to the top of a car. It was just an abysmal and a takeover artist who gets people fired.
Right.
A horrible human being, while the Romney campaign depicted their opposition as a really great guy who's mistaken. Yeah. And that was no contest. It was, I have to think within the campaign, the Obama campaign, they must have looked at the Romney campaign as the easiest target they've ever encountered, because he fought really hard in the primaries and destroyed every potential opponent. Newt Gingrich on down, Michelle Bachmann. You remember Herman Cain. We don't even hear from him anymore. Yeah. All of these non-Romney potential candidates were destroyed with negative campaigns and ads. But when it came to the general election, and you can see it ultimately in the final debate, where the candidate Romney refused to even bring up the Candy Crowley episode that had taken place in the previous debate, just lied down, just absolutely didn't. And it was, I guess, some analyst said it was a rope-a-dope. It wasn't a rope-a-dope. It was just a dope. Yeah. And it turned out, that in subsequent reports, that it was the same group of establishment so-called strategists advising Romney, not to do this, that would be worse. I can't think of anything that'd be worse than allowing that characterization of Romney as this horrible human being to sink into the psyche of the social media and the American people. But I think this is what is the playbook. And if the Republicans nominate somebody like, say, for example, Jeb Bush, I think it will be it will be like deja vu all over again, Yogi Berra said.
Hey, well, wasn't going to really get into the political campaigns. It looks like Scott Walker is the only guy who knows how to put up a fight of the whole bunch of them. Maybe Chris Christie. None of the others know how to fight.
Well, they better learn, because, the Clinton campaign, and I think they'll safe bet that Hillary Clinton's going to get that nomination, because according to the mainstream press, she can violate the law. She can wipe out her entire server.
Yeah.
She can endanger national security.
You can do anything.
You can do anything. Just like we've seen with the media's treatment of the president. Well, so she's probably going to get the nomination, and the Clinton campaign is going to be, they're the ones, Bill Clinton and his people created the term war room.
Right.
James Carville, who's still involved with the Clintons. And so it has, people have said it's not going to be beanbag. I mean, they're going to have to learn how to fight, or their candidacy is going to be wrecked. But they're going to be fighting each other at first, and that's exactly what the Democrats hope, that they beat each other up so badly and Hillary goes in unopposed, and then you have again a replay of 2012.
I think this time is different. They've learned something. At least they're not taking these shill moderators. And
well, that's true. Yeah. That's a good idea. That's a good thing. And there's some very good candidates. I mean, in my view, as we're speaking, Rand Paul has announced. I mean, we've got some alternative candidates from the usual establishment.
Yeah, and Cruz is no pushover either. He's a fighter.
Oh, he's the most feisty, and I wouldn't include him in the category of someone who won't fight. He's along with Scott Walker, who will fight hard.
Yeah, I'd like to see them try to pull that Romney-esque stuff. Just be a punching bag. No, I don't think so. Whatever you say about him, he's not just going to sit back and take it. No, we're not going to see that.
But this will come up as an issue, to bring it full circle, this Religious Freedom Act.
Mm-hmm.
When we watched as Pence caved and as Asa Hutchinson, governor of Arkansas, caved in the wake of not just the activists, not just the people from Hollywood, but economic battles economic weapons being launched against each of those states. In the case of Indiana, the NCAA weighed in. The Final Four games are played in Indianapolis. They're a big gaming convention called Gen Con. And then Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, in the most hypocritical and ignorant fashion, in breaching his duty to the shareholders, in my opinion, entered into this very controversial area that he is personally involved in, but as a CEO of a major company like Apple, should not venture in that direction, paints a brand that is pristine. I think what he did was so wrong-headed. It makes me wonder whether he is surrounded by yes people at Apple and nobody is willing to tell him it's a bad idea. When Apple does business in Saudi Arabia, where homosexuals are put to death,
stoned,
he's attacking Indiana over a bakery. The man is deranged. And I think what he did, I as a shareholder, and I am a shareholder of Apple, I want my CEO to act in the best interest of the company, not in the best interest of his personal life. I find it appalling what he did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any CEO. It's not a matter of him taking a moral stand, because, as I pointed out, Apple's in talks to do business in Tehran, for God's sake. That is ridiculous. And they're doing business in China. It's, where human rights are
organs are harvested. They're harvesting organs, for crying out loud.
Exactly. So if you're going to do it, if you're going to go out there
consistent.
and do it, then I guess you have to. But I can't imagine the board of directors is happy with that. I can't imagine that. And I notice it's now being kind of walked back a little bit.
Yeah, shut up and sing, right?
Yeah, really. Shut up and lead if you're a CEO. And your job, your duty is to the company, to shareholders, and you're supposed to go out and make a profit. If you want to start a nonprofit on your own time, go ahead and do it, but retire first. A lot of good people that can lead Apple. So I don't think Steve Jobs would have done that. I really don't.
No
I think
way.
He was very, very sensitive to the brand in every manner whatsoever. If Steve Jobs is listening, I think what he would say is it wasn't ergonomic. He was that's his thing.
That's great. I love it, Robert. It's ergonomic. Yeah, keep your mouth shut. We don't want to hear about it. We're not interested. Please just leave us alone, and don't do this. Okay. Great points. And just tell us where we find your blog and where we can hear your show.
Sure. My blog is James Hirsen, HIRSEN.com, and I'm on Twitter. My handle is Jim, J-I-M, Jams, J-A-M-S, the Jim Jams, at the Jim Jams. It'll do it, and then you can find everything else from there.
Okay, James, thanks so much for coming on. It's been too long. We will talk with you again soon, and thanks for clarifying all that for us, because it is
you're welcome,
important.
Kerry.
Okay.
You have a wonderful day.
All right, you too. Be well.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.